Welcome to Questions and Answers, the ultimate podcast for van life and overlanding enthusiasts. I'm thrilled to introduce our special guest today, Evert Greis. Evert is the GM of the one and only Aluminess. Aluminess is a California-based company that specializes in manufacturing high-quality aluminum products for off-road vehicles. With a deep passion for van and van accessories, Evert brings a wealth of experience and expertise to the table. In this episode, we'll explore the story behind Aluminess, their innovative products, and the exciting world of van customization. Let's get after it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, Evert, thanks a lot for being on the podcast,
pleasure.
man.
Pleasure.
So glad
Super
to have
excited
you here.
about it.
Yeah, so why don't you give us a quick background? Yeah, where are you from? How'd you get involved with Aluminess?
Yeah, totally. I'm originally from Germany. I spent about 16 years with Adidas. Moved to Portland, and moving to Portland, I actually then met Cease off Romebuild.
Okay.
And after I left Adidas, it's like Romebuild at that point was more of a hobby and helped Cease to scale it. So that was like my introduction into the overlanding.
So Romebuild specialized mainly in the roof racks at the beginning, right?
Yeah,
for
exactly.
The vans.
It was roof
So
racks.
specialized roof racks for the Sprinter vans specifically.
Sprinter vans, almost only exclusively Sprinter vans. We
Sprinters.
did a few Transit, but side steps, and then the chicane ladder that everyone seems to know.
Yeah. They made some really nice van products.
Yeah, it's like the product was really high, and it was like perhaps the first time that someone came in with an aesthetic point of view, more than driven by utility only.
Sure.
So it was a very different approach to how product was created.
Yeah, design oriented.
Yeah, it was more design first, rather than form follows function.
Yeah, function first. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So then you went to Aluminess.
Yeah, and so I actually got out of the industry a little bit over a year ago, early 22, sorry.
Okay.
So a little bit over a year ago. And then I had an opportunity that came up at the beginning of this year. Was introduced to the folks over at Aluminess and Baja Design, their sister companies now. And so I had some conversations, and it was really interesting. Was super excited about the opportunity to work with a OG brand, probably the OG accessory brand in the industry. Learned so much more about the history of Aluminess and where it came from and the appreciation, but also saw at the same time the potential for the brand. And there just had to be like this shift in the brand a little bit, away from, founder led to like what's next, what's after Dave and Diane. And so really got along well with the team and the leadership team at Baja Design. And so we decided it would be a good fit.
Yeah, it makes sense because Aluminess has been around almost 30 years.
Well, I just spoke with Dave. It's 20 years that it's Aluminess this year, so it's our 20th anniversary this year. We're super excited. We got some great product coming out to celebrate that.
Congratulations.
But there is many years before that where Dave and your dad worked together already to solve
That's right.
quite a few problems in what became the overlanding industry.
Yeah, so let's get into that. So at the beginning, my dad, we were looking for a camper. I had two brothers, and we found a Sportsmobile Ford pop-top van down at the beach.
Yeah.
My dad had to have one. So found out you could buy them in Texas. So he flies out to Texas, and he realizes these would sell like crazy in California.
Yep.
Wanted to sell them, but the guy that owned the business at the time, Charles, said no go. So he started talking to Dave Hoskins, his good friend. My dad worked for Dave, when he was like 20 years old.
Yeah,
so
I think in the medical field.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think he started in the stock room and then kind of worked his way up, and then they became buddies. And we really grew up around Dave and Diane down at the beach. We were playing this game called Over the Line, which is like a beach softball game. If you've never played Over the Line, it is amazing. Really specific to San Diego culture.
Oh, okay.
So growing up in San Diego, that was a big deal down there.
Perhaps we should add the instructions to Over the Line to every van and every Aluminess product so people can enjoy that.
Yeah, all you need is a bat and a softball and some rope. So yeah.
Sounds almost like pickleball, pickleball.
It is, yeah. It's a beach game. So yeah, really cool. But yeah, growing up around them. So my dad came back, started telling Dave about this company, Sportsmobile.
Yeah.
Dave's like, well, I'll fly back there with you. Let's go talk to him again. So they fly back, and they were well received this time, I guess. Maybe Charles realized they were serious and just weren't, pulling his leg. So my dad and mom started Sportsmobile West and started selling vans out of San Diego.
Yeah, and at that point, they were still manufactured out in Texas. They just were bringing them to California and then selling them out of a showroom.
That's right. Yeah, we started like a 2-vehicle showroom in San Diego. People would come in, take a look at the vans. We'd put the order in, and they'd be built in Texas.
Oh, okay.
My dad and mom are pretty good at selling vans, so they sold way too many for the Texas factory to keep up. And so about a year after they started Sportsmobile West, we moved up to Fresno. We had some family here, and they said it was a nice community and centrally located. So we could...
you got North California, Southern California.
That's right. Yeah. So our biggest markets were really kind of Northern California, Bay Area, and then, of course, San Diego, Orange County, LA. So being centrally located made a whole lot of sense. So that's when my dad really had the vision of, we have so many great off-road areas around here. We're close to the Sierras. We got the Mojave Desert. We can go out to the beaches. He thought having 4x4 on a camper would really be a game changer.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And don't forget about all the BLM land.
Oh, of course.
It's like, it's so easy. Like in Utah or anywhere, Idaho, you just pull over and the best spots.
Yeah. Living out west here, we really have access to... We are extremely spoiled. So my dad got with a company called Quigley Motor Company out of Pennsylvania, and they make a killer 4x4 van. And a lot of it was just like transport vans, maybe farming vans that needed traction, mail delivery vans, and UPS type stuff. Okay. So that was kind of their specialty, and they'd do some military and government projects, but not really campers.
Oh, yeah.
And RVs.
Yeah.
And so that's where kind of that marriage of van life and overlanding kind of came together and started making 4x4 camper vans. And they were all based really on the Ford, some Chevys. Ford was the main product we had at the time.
All right.
And so we had this killer 4x4 system. You had the pop top, you had your whole kitchen, you'd be out in the middle of nowhere. And this was at a time where, no one had these things. We would do an RV show and people would be like, what in the world is this?
Totally. So actually Dave shared with me that when you guys moved into the Fresno location, he actually came up here and helped wiring it.
Oh, yeah.
So he actually ran all the wires and everything. And so there wasn't even product. Dave was not involved on the product side at all. So he was just helping setting up the business initially.
Yeah,
exactly.
He was helping out his buddy. Yeah. So pretty cool. And so again, when had the 4x4s going, and they started having some issues because we put a lot of weight in the van. And then we wanted to have a cool front bumper that could have a winch, recovery. And the front bumpers that were available at the time were all steel. There was a couple companies. There was Rennell and Road Armor. And they were making these big, like, cattle pusher kind of bumpers, right? For, these farm vans. Yeah. And, but they didn't really go off-roading with them. They weren't used to the same extent that we've envisioned using our camper vans.
And you're not going 55 with a tractor or, like, farm vehicle.
Yeah. So what ended up happening is those heavy steel front bumpers and winches started wearing out some of the front ends of these 4x4s.
Yep. I can only imagine having a couple 100 pounds in the front of your van. Like, it has to drive so differently, and just the forces and the mechanics on everything.
Yeah.
That's
exactly what happened.
Exactly.
And parts started wearing too fast and improperly. And then, of course, we're getting customer feedback, and we're, and going, oh, we got to get our with Quigley. And Quigley, well, it's your fault. You're adding too much weight. And then we're like, okay, well, we got to figure this out.
Yeah. And sorry, Dave said they canceled the warranty. Like, Quigley was like, we're canceling the warranty.
And so we, of course, step up and took care of all the problems.
That's what you do.
That's what you have to do.
Exactly.
And you learn from those things. So Dave was talking to my dad about the issue. Of course, he had a problem, calls his buddy Dave. And he's like, well, have him make them out of aluminum.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. So Dave actually helped and approached these bumper companies.
Yeah.
And they told him he was an idiot.
Yeah. That's mildly put.
Yeah, right? Put. Yeah. It's like, dude, you can't make these bumper. That's the whole point, is the steel and it's strong.
Exactly.
But if you know Dave, he doesn't like being told that he's an idiot.
Nope.
Because he's not. He's an extremely smart guy. So he's like, really? So you can't do it, huh? And he's like, well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to do it. So he ordered the parts, found I think it was just in his driveway in his garage.
Oh, yeah.
And basically made up the first aluminum bumper.
Yep.
And we put it on the van and saved a bunch of weight. No rust issues, things like that. So we were real excited about the product, and so were our customers.
Yep.
So next thing you know, orders started piling in, and Dave, I guess kind of Aluminess was born at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And it was almost exclusively to you guys. Initially, it was. Yeah. And there was no idea about Aluminess. It was many years before actually Aluminess, the brand, was born.
That's right. And at the time, we called it the Trojan bumper because it did have a hidden compartment and it offered great protection.
I think the focus here is on protection, not the hidden compartment.
So the Trojan bumper series, that's essentially if you wanted a front bumper on our van, you were getting a Trojan bumper.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got the rear bumper too.
And then the rear bumper with the swingaways. So you had gas can storage on the passenger side.
Yep.
And then a tire on the driver's side. Yep. And then they evolved to different boxes. And now we'll talk about some of that stuff.
Notoriously iconic ladder was born, where everyone wonders why the shape goes into the wheel well today. But, originally it was behind the wheel well and it followed the line of the Econoliner.
Yeah.
So it was a very different product. And this is Dave's ingenuity. He made them out of pipes, and it was exactly 3 pipes to the ladder. There was no scraps, nothing. That's why it's bent how it is bent and everything. And that's like efficient, and the form followed the function ultimately.
Yeah.
And and then like you said, it was Dave initially welding. I literally think in his driveway or in his garage, and then he found someone who was actually making boat towers to weld it
down at the docks.
Exactly, at the docks, and he would buy the raw materials and deliver it to the guy after he cut it himself, and pick it up again when it was welded, get it powder coated, and bring it up here.
Yep.
And so that was the first couple of years of Aluminess.
Yeah.
And learning a lot. Obviously, Dave and Diane going overlanding with your parents early on, like testing everything.
Yep.
And it was continuously improving. And to this day, it's like consumer feedback is really important for us, because they're out there testing it more than what we test. We're obviously doing our best we can. But it's this feedback and like the little improvements and this continuous improvement of product. So
yeah, we get tons of feedback from our customers, and that's how you make your product better.
And that's how you evolve.
That's right. Yeah. And our customers really dictate what products we put on the vans.
Well, yeah.
At the beginning, it was, if you wanted a bumper, it was going to be a Trojan bumper.
Yeah. Now
you have lots of options. And we don't just carry one specific line. We're that type of builder that if you want an Aluminess or a Rome built or whatever it might be, the customer gets to dictate that.
Yeah.
And so, it does push the innovation and everything. But talking about the welds, the one thing I remember about these, welding aluminum is a special process.
Yep.
And when we would do these vehicle shows and RV shows, everyone would always comment on the welds on these Aluminess bumpers. I mean, from the get-go.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know much about that, but it sticks in my mind just how many people commented on how beautiful they were welded up and put together.
And that is something still today, I would say, the team at Aluminess is super proud of. It's like, one is the level of service that we provide to our customers and consumers, but also the quality of workmanship. And it is amazing to literally, from my office, I can see the welding floor, the shop floor. It's all cut right there. It's bent right there. It's welded right there. We grind it and everything outside of some laser work and powder coating. It's all in-house. It's all made in Santee.
Awesome.
We have a few parts that we get from outside vendors, but I'd say like over 90% is manufactured right there.
That's awesome. And how big is your facility there in Santee?
So we're super excited because we're just getting additional space for warehousing.
Nice.
So that we can fulfill better. The demand is still high, as you know.
Yeah.
And so we hope that we can bring lead time down.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be prime.
Yeah.
But we should be able to fulfill most common items really quickly now. But manufacturing, it's a little bit smaller than up here in Fresno.
Yeah.
But we're like about a tenth of the size, like 7,000 square feet manufacturing. But then we have warehousing and everything on top of that.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
No, it's awesome.
So you're talking about lead times. What's the most popular product, would you say, right now?
Yeah, right now, I would say like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was really our roof racks that we were known for a long time. But right now, the rear door products are really what we're selling. Like they're just flying off the shelf, and it's really Sprinter, Transit, and ProMaster. So we're seeing a lot of demand from ProMaster now.
Yep.
And I think there's two reasons to it. Like one, we offer it as a modular system, basically. So you buy the base system and you can put bike racks on it, or you can put our backpack plate on it. And how it's mounted, everything, it's really DIY friendly. Like you don't have to unhinge the door or anything like that. All pre-existing holes, and so no drilling, nothing. And it holds up to 200 pounds. That's what a lot of people forget.
Yeah,
they like to go with the little bit cheaper options, but if you can only load up 50 to 100 pounds, that's not a lot. So our system is 200 pounds. It's the rating of the hinges. So maximize, so you can put your rotor packs on it or whatever you need. Recovery gear, anything.
Yeah,
that's really important. And you mentioned the ease of installation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of DIYers out there, and that translates well there and also here. I mean, I don't want to have our guys spending so much time, drilling new holes or having to take things apart. So having that both from a factory standpoint and for the do-it-yourselfers at home, that's really key.
Yeah. For us, it's important though to service both markets. Right. And there is being new to Aluminess, I've obviously looked at the product and everything, and there's something we want to update a little bit. So super excited that later this year we're going to launch some product that is also more targeted towards the van builders.
Oh, cool.
So that it has a little bit more of a premium touch to it. Still easy installation, everything, but not as easy as the do-it-yourselfer.
Okay.
But more looking from an efficiency perspective, so that it doesn't take you long or anything, but it's just going to have a little bit of nicer touch to it.
Well, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, sure. You're going to be the first one.
So you mentioned the backpack earlier. That is one of my favorite kind of newer products.
Yep.
And you've had it, a few years now? Yep. What's your favorite product, would you say, that you have?
Yeah, I think our favorite product right now, or my favorite product definitely is going to be a new rack that we're now going to show at Overland Expo West.
Okay.
And it's going to be an evolution of our current rack, the Weekender, which is a double loop, which is just a cargo basket, and then the Touring, which has a drop down for the light bar. And the new rack, the Explorer, is actually integrating some lighting features.
Okay.
And it also has integrated load lights off to the side, and it integrates nicely with some Baja products that we're very closely related with. So super excited about that.
Yeah.
And hope that, we can recapture some of that market that you said earlier. The competition's out there.
Yeah.
Perhaps we rested a little bit too long on our laurels, so we need to step it up again. We need to invest into product and product creation, product research, and engineering, and come out with new product. It was like, we can't take it for granted just because we've been in the game for so long, and, Dave and your dad created large parts of this industry and shaped it. We can't just rest on the laurels, as I said.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what we were talking about, kind of being the OG brands. Because 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it was a couple van builders to choose from.
Yep.
And, like you said, you can't just rest on it. It's like, we've been doing it the longest. We have the most experience. That'll only take you so far.
Yep,
I mean, that's very important.
Yep.
But if you don't have that push for innovation and, always being better.
And I think, even for you guys, you could have said all along, like, hey, Sportsmobile West, we only do Econoliners. We only do 4x4 modifications. And we're not going to touch a Sprinter.
Right.
It's like, but today, it's probably the majority of your business, are Sprinter vans.
It is, yeah. And that actually happened. When the Sprinter came, I want to say it was 2002 to the U.S. We couldn't actually get them in California until, I think, 04.
Oh, okay.
But we didn't like them.
Yeah.
And it was because they weren't as badass as our Ford Econolines, and especially the original Sprinter.
Well, and they weren't 4x4s initially.
Not until we got
them.
But
But so we were a little hesitant, but again, you have to look ahead and see that, hey, the van game is changing. These Econolines aren't going to be around forever. These
make a lot of sense.
And then
for
you got
segment.
the first 4x4.
Yeah.
You built it out for Mercedes.
Yeah.
And you're to blame for the black hood.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All those things. Yeah, we're notorious for that black hood.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. And we're going to see, you mentioned the expos. I mean, we got one coming up here, and we're filming. By the time you see this, we would already had the Overland Expo where you're launching some of these products.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, we're heading out there next week.
Yep.
so those actually, there's going to be tons of, you mentioned all the competition. That's a great place to go see all the different products out there,
Yep.
whether it be van builders, Jeep builders, bumper manufacturers.
But even like down to technical stuff, like
Oh, yeah.
if you're interested in suspension systems, everyone's there. You can talk to them right there. You can see the product in action almost in some. And then I think what you guys are doing with your campground is awesome. I mean, that's where Overland Expo actually started, right?
Yeah, it did. So we would do rallies with our customers, and we called it the Rally in the Valley here in Fresno, the first one. And we did that for a number of years until it kind of, the guys at Overland Expo approached us and said, hey, we kind of want to do something like this, but not just have your customers and not just vans. Even. We want to have Jeeps and Land Rovers and you name it, the Earth Cruisers and the big Unimogs and everything in between, moto guys.
Yeah.
And so, they developed the Overland Expo.
Oh, okay.
And Dave and Diane, they were vendors at the first one, as were we.
Yeah.
And it was it was in Prescott, a little fairground. And then it kind of grew. We went to Mormon Lake outside of Flagstaff for a number of years. And it was cool because our brands were just so synonymous together that we literally like shared a booth pretty much. Like they put us right next to each other. And it was almost like we had the same booth. And back then, it wasn't corporate. It was kind of a small event. It was really like a camp out.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a bunch of rules and regulations. And so we were able to develop some like really cool traditions.
Yep.
So Kenny is now president at Aluminess, right?
Yeah, he's heading up our sales team.
Kenny Gorham, really good guy, and an amazing beer brewer.
Yep.
And you have those guys like, I brew my own beer, and you kind of like, yeah, it's great, man. Yeah, well done. That is not Ken. Kenny's beer is unbelievable.
Yep.
So every year he would have 2-3 kegs. I mean, it was specialty beer. He'd do an IPA, he'd do this. I remember he had some crazy Scotch ale once that was just ridiculous. And so what they'd do is we'd have a happy hour, about 5 o'clock the show ends. So 5:30 we'd have live music, we'd get hors d'oeuvres out, and then we would have the ceremonial moving of the kegs.
Yep.
And this was a big deal. And so, the first, we're like lugging these things over. And then, I mean, Dave and the guys at Aluminess, they built bumper taps. It was the Trojan bumper. It was, and they had, integrated taps, and the CO tanks were down below, and it was like one of their boxes that they used. So it was literally, it looked like their vehicle display, but it was our bar.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we'd bring the kegs over, and I mean, there was just a line of people waiting to try Kenny's beer.
I'm surprised that the Trojan bumper at that point didn't get renamed into the DUI bumper.
Yeah, right. No. Yeah, well, there's no driving here. This is all
exactly. It's after show.
It's after show. Yeah. And and Kenny ended up having to brew more beer. The kind of party grew. We had more kegs. So one of my favorite things that ever happened was Aluminess building the keg transport cart. I mean, this thing was awesome. It was a dually. It was like, it had suspension. You couldn't
it's still
shake
in the office.
beer. You still have it. Yeah. Yeah. And so I get over there for the ceremonial moving of the kegs one year, and he's like, hey, you're not going to hurt your back this year. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, check this baby out. Rolls it out. I mean, it is. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And load the kegs on this thing, and we bring dually. I mean, the thing is, it's awesome. Yeah. And so it was like a parade, and move the kegs over. Now we're not allowed to serve beer at the Overland Expos anymore, unfortunately. So that's kind of died. But we still do have, you mentioned our Field of Dreams. So we have a big, we're acres is our booth kind of this thing. Yeah, it's not like a 20 by 40. We got like half the forest. And we generally have about 50 of our customers or so come camp with us. Yep. So the Field of Dreams, right? All our field bands out there. Awesome. We bring our boy Big Matt. He barbecues. We're doing brisket this year.
Oh, good.
Mouth's watering just talking about it.
Yeah, I'm like,
you're going to be spending a lot of time in our
I
booth.
will be. I will be.
Like breakfast,
and
lunch,
I will
and dinner.
be sending a lot of pictures to our older son, who's going to be so bummed that he's not going to have any of the brisket.
Oh, yeah.
But,
we've got it dialed in.
Looking forward. But it actually, I love the idea of what you guys did together with your parents and Diane and Dave.
Yeah.
Initially with like these rallies in the valley, and I think it's such a great way to experience what this is all about and make it so easy also for people to participate in it.
Yeah.
And it's so awesome in what it has evolved, and it's just great.
And it's fun connecting with your customers and the van owners and other people in the industry.
Totally.
And
perhaps we should have an event on our own, Aluminess and Field Van, and Kenny can brew some beer again, and we can serve as much beer as we want.
Have a field trip
after 5:30.
Yeah,
after 5:30.
That's right. I like it. Yeah,
we'll call it the field trip. That. Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Stay tuned. You might get invited to a field trip coming up.
Exactly.
What else did I have to you? So, recently Aluminess was acquired by Bestop.
Yeah, exactly.
So, talk to me a little bit about that.
It's super exciting because Bestop, for anyone who doesn't know it, Bestop is a large company. They OEM manufacture soft tops for Jeep and Broncos, but they also own a total of 10 other brands. So Baja Designs being one of them, S-Pod being another one, which a lot of van enthusiasts are probably familiar with. And Aluminess is their most recent acquisition. It was about 2 years ago. And, it was very interesting why they sold. There was no need to really sell the business. Business was doing great, everything. But they've realized also that, for the future of Aluminess, there's certain investments that need to be made.
Sure.
It's like, we've been both joking about our websites and how the websites have gotten a refresh. For anyone who's noticed, our website looks different. It's still not there, but it's getting better day by day. But even how you run the business with ERP systems and so on.
Yeah.
At some point you just have to step up. And Dave said this is at his point in his career and his interests, he doesn't want to take the brand there. And so Bestop was somehow they connected. It's a really great partnership. And it was important for me throughout getting to know the team at Aluminess, but also Bestop, how independent are we,
Yeah.
Are we just another brand? And I have to say, it's the Bestop team hands off. They're obviously looking what we're doing. They're supporting us. They're helping us. They're helping implement new systems and everything, but we get to control the brand. We get to control the distribution. We get to control the product. And they're really trusting us, which is really important. And so far, I started in February, so it's been only 4 months into it, but it's been a great partnership, and I'm super excited about it. And, the benefits, some benefits are there, really excited about the Explorer rack that we're launching because we've developed it around Baja lights. So you can have it with the Baja curved onyx light bar or the linkable light, and then the lights, sight lights, the load lights, we have the S2 on it. We've integrated it with the S-Pod system. So it's a whole system now that we can offer and really educate consumers about it. That's also something we want to do much better. Yeah. Our product right now just lives on the website, but we want to be also doing things like this, but talking to consumers, educating them about our product and what you can do with it. And some product we'd be going to talk about and educate that we don't offer, whether it be suspension or how to run your electricity in a van. But we know people, and we love this interchange and this community and creating content. So you're also going to see that shifting on our website.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, the updates in the website, and you mentioned the ERP systems. And we were laughing. So big shout out to Cliff Lelick, who was our controller and the controller at Aluminess simultaneous for years and years. And so probably 20 years ago, Cliff built a customized ERP system off of Microsoft Access.
Yep.
And it was extremely impressive, and it got us by. I think we use that thing yet.
We are transitioning
15,
out of it
years.
right now, and it is. I have to say kudos for creating something like that. It's today you just go to an app shop and you download whatever you want to have, however you grow, and it's all headless. It all integrates. It's API connected. It's almost automatic, but back then to build an entire ERP system ground up, it's it was impressive. It's impressive.
And it worked. And the problem, we'd probably still be on it if Cliff still worked here, but if anything happened, we didn't know how to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where we are right now.
Yeah.
We're knock on wood.
Yeah.
We got 3 more months and we're going to be on NetSuite.
Nice.
And looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's been nice. Yeah, we were probably about 15 months, 16 months into being on there. And it's...
I was joking yesterday with
transition.
your team. I'm going to be up here this summer and just shadowing them to understand NetSuite inside out.
Yeah.
Because we're obviously same industry, very similar process, everything.
Yeah.
It's important to get the team to buy in, and
totally.
And what does your leadership team look like over at Aluminess?
Yeah, so you mentioned Kenny earlier.
Yes.
Kenny, he's like heading up our sales, but Kenny is truly the right hand. Kenny keeps it going, and he was in between. He was managing the entire business after Mandy left, Dave's daughter.
Right.
He managed the business, and he is the calm in the storm. It's like amazing, and he knows the business inside out. I think he's been with Aluminess 13 years.
Sounds about right.
He's the second longest there now. We only have one welder, Jensen, who's now actually on the engineering team, which is, again, awesome. He knows how to use SolidWorks, but he also knows how to weld. He knows the practicality of it.
That's key.
And so Kenny is the right-hand guy, and then we have Michael Hoskins, Dave's son. He's on the operations side, and he was actually just here today also delivering some racks and some bumpers and some ladders. So he keeps the day-to-day operations on the manufacturing side running.
Yeah.
And so
it still has that family atmosphere.
Totally.
And it's been like that. Yeah, it was interesting because, growing up, with my parents and then working in the business, and then, of course, Dave and Diane.
Yep.
And they both, both my parents worked here every day. And same with Dave and Diane. Yeah, and Diane, she ran your social media and and did an amazing job.
Yeah. I am still, like, on Instagram, it's over 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
And that is still in the space a big number.
It is.
Yeah.
And Diane did that all by herself, all from scratch. I was very impressed.
And I think you probably now, like, you're in your father's footsteps. Like, I would imagine there's like a similar shift, like, in mentality. It's like, before probably everyone was just looking, what is Alan saying? It's at Aluminess. Everyone's like, that's what Dave said. So that's what Dave wanted. That's how Dave did it. So do you have the similar shift where it's like now you and your leadership and not anymore Alan?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a culture change. And that's one of the reasons he's like, I got to get out of here. He's like, you do things so much different than I do.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And that's what was great about my dad. He was an amazing boss, obviously an amazing dad, but he wasn't overly controlling. So when the transition, I became president probably 8 years ago or something. Maybe even longer than that, but he never, told me what to do. He was always there for advice. And, he would chime in if he thought, I was doing things differently, but, across all businesses, there's a culture change. His dad was in the Army.
Oh, okay.
And he was first one there, last one, and things are different now. People are more family oriented, and it's not all about work. That work-life balance, that's important to our newer generation. And so that part of it has really changed in our culture. We, being a family business, we value, not just our own family, but the families of our employees and their families.
But this is the work-life balance here. This is a perfect balance. You build the vehicles, and then you get to enjoy them, and your customers get to enjoy them.
We are fortunate to be in such a cool industry.
Totally.
It is really fun.
It's really tough sometimes testing the product.
Yeah, the R&D part of it. That's and we'll be camping out there at Overland. And then what other expos we have? Again, Overland will be passed by the time you see this, and then you're doing more van expos.
Yeah, we're doing some of the adventure van expos.
Awesome.
Few at the beginning, so we were in San Juan Capistrano and then we're doing some towards the end of the year too.
Okay.
And so Tahoe, and then we're looking at this summer still, like really want to get some like road trip in, a little bit like your parents and it's like Dave and Diane used to do. Load up the van and hit a few of those shows.
Cool.
Just to be out there again, because I think it's like that's something. It's like to be an authentic player in the market, we need to be out there. We need to show our product, and we need to be part of that community, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a big community.
It is.
And no one is above it. It's not big corporations.
It's a big community, but it's a pretty tight community.
Yeah, exactly.
You do these van shows, and everyone kind of starts getting to know everyone out there.
100%.
And it's like-minded individuals, people like being outdoors, pretty laid back. So it really is a fun trade show, I guess, to attend. You know, it's not like the typical RV and auto shows we used to do back in the day because they didn't have van shows. They had an RV show, or we were the only van people there. You know, and now they have a show dedicated to vans, and there was like 120 vendors. I mean, it's the way the industry's blown up is just mind-blowing.
I can only imagine that first time your dad showed up with an Econoliner, with a Quickly 4x4 on big wheels, and people were probably, what the...
Freaking out.
Yeah. They still do with our Econoline Classics. You don't see those too often, but it was always, you know, what in the world is this thing? The guy'd have their beer, and, oh my God, this is crazy. And it's like, oh yeah, I know these. My neighbor has one, my buddy has it. It's just, in 20 years, I mean, it is just completely flipped upside down.
God, the one that you showed me earlier that you have out there was a 72.
Yeah.
It looks so badass.
Yeah.
Sorry. But the front, everything is like, no big bumper to it. You see right into the wheels and everything. It's so awesome.
That van, so it's all original 1972 Sportsmobile.
Yeah.
And we were at the Overland Expo, probably 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
And this guy rolls up in this thing into Flagstaff right into our campground. And it is gorgeous. It's, right? I mean,
it's awesome.
So he rolls in and I'm like, where did you get this thing?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I just picked it up, kind of fixed it up. Is it cool if I camp with you guys? And we're like,
please.
Yes. Front and center.
Yeah, exactly. Front center.
That thing got the most attention at the show. Our good friend Mike Romero owned that van, and he ended up our very first classic our prototype. We got the Mark I Classic, right? And it had some issues, of course, being the first one. So Mike, he builds Porsches for Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, like the high-end, $1 million cars. And so he comes to me and says, hey, what are you going to do with that class? I was like, keep it. I can never sell it. He goes, you could sell it to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I could fix any of this. I don't care if it's not perfect. That's what I do. I make things perfect. And I was just like, well, what are you going to do with that 72?
Yeah.
And so we worked out a trade-in type deal.
Nice.
So that's how I ended up having that.
You got to put it next to the VW.
Oh yeah,
out
the
there,
VW
the bus.
here. Yeah. We're cleaning it up a little bit.
Oh, good. Yeah.
It's gonna head over there.
A little bit dusting.
Yeah. But
awesome.
That thing is really cool.
Yeah.
And so it was your first time seeing the factory today.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it was fun showing you around, and we have a lot of Aluminess product floating around, both in the warehouse and on all the vehicles out here.
And you got a truckload of new gear.
Yeah.
So
Michael just showed up with that.
Hopefully putting that on, and it's working together again. Like I know you saw the rack already at the previous expo.
Yep. That looks awesome.
Excited to offer that also to your customers. And then
it's gonna go on my next van.
Exactly. It's gonna go in the next van. We're gonna update the Touring with the new Explorer rack. And then we're working on the next generation of backpack products, as I said. So that's going to be awesome, and the modularity there. And then we're also launching a new modular roof rack, which is actually using our front loader system a little bit. So you can really tie down stuff really easily. It's more modular. It serves the custom van cutouts, whether you have a big AC or a Max Air van.
Sure.
So there's like an entry price model that we have. Awesome. Because the Explorer rack is going to be custom built. You're going to tell us what are the measurements of the vent. We're going to build around that. If you have one, if you have two, if you have three.
And they always have been. And that's been such a key thing is a communication between us, our sales team, our customer, and you guys. Because, every van that we build is a little different.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, different. Like you mentioned, AC. This one has a pop top on it, so we don't have the roof rack. But AC's Max Air fan. There's different air conditioning vents. There's different vent sizes.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, maximizing both your storage and not covering up the vents and AC.
Exactly.
That's important.
Yeah.
So, some exciting products you have coming. That's actually what I was going to ask you next. So that was perfect.
Yeah, I think it's like the modular roof rack and then the Explorer roof rack. And then we're going to update the line along a little bit. And, the 20-year anniversary, I think our most iconic product, the side ladder, we're going to take that. We're going to update it this year a little bit. So also anyone who was at Expo West is going to see it.
Yes.
And then anyone who's going to see it now streaming or as a podcast can go to our website and check it out. But really excited about the updates to the ladder. We are keeping the notorious look of it, that iconic look of the ladder, but we're updating it a little bit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're really excited for what the
Probably
future brings.
rested too long on our laurels on that ladder, and that the grip tape is wearing off.
Yep. Yeah, the grip tape. We like the grip tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, form follows function.
That's right. Yeah. San Diego.
Yeah,
Skateboarding.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So, thanks for all the insight and everything.
Thanks so much. It was a pleasure. It's awesome.
And so to end,
Yeah.
I got this from my cousin, Brian Jeniser, the BG Positivity podcast.
All right.
Give him a shout out. It's a really good listen. So what you actually might know him. He worked at Aluminess.
That's what you...
Or
I
not
had
Aluminess, at Adidas.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned
He
earlier.
worked at Adidas.
I need to go through, and you said he worked in outdoor, so I'm sure he knows the guys from Agron, who's our licensee, Adidas' licensee, not our. Adidas' licensee down in LA, and then he worked at TaylorMade.
That's right.
So our paths have somehow crossed.
you guys have
and
connected.
we definitely know enough people, like one degree of separation, or is that two? I don't know, whichever way.
Either way, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So in his podcast, he has his guest ask a question. I listened. I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. So is
like
there
that.
something you wanted to ask me?
Yeah. You know, I think you grew up in this industry. You know, both of our brands have been around very long time. But I wonder if you've noticed like a shift in the last 5 to 10 years, perhaps, like from being almost the only one at the beginning to now. I mean, Overland Expo, you know, it's like, I don't know, hundreds of exhibitors. Like, what have you seen?
Yeah, it's that was really the biggest change, I think, as we're talking about those expos and being the only van guys. You know, there's maybe 2 or 3 van companies. Yeah. And now there's enough van companies to have an entire van expo.
Yeah.
And that's not just van builders, it's also accessories. So where that has been a challenge, of course, is more competition, right?
Yep.
So where it's been awesome is it drives innovation. Yeah. Not only it pushes us, you know, to be better.
Exactly.
Like not resting on our laurels, not just saying, hey, we've done it the longest. Yeah. And we do, you know, we have one of the best warranties and we do have that history, and all that stuff is very important. Yeah. But you can't just fall back on that forever. Yeah. You have to push forward. And so that competition drives that. And then we mentioned the other products and exhibitors out there that they maybe don't build vans themselves, but they make roof racks and bumpers. Exactly. Or they make the electrical components, or they make this and that. And then the more vans that are getting built, the more companies want to get involved, the more cool products that come, the more innovation. And so it just makes our product at the end of the day so much better than it was 10 or 15 years ago.
And it pushes the industry forward overall.
Exactly.
And it's like someone is always seems to be smarter or more innovative, and it keeps everyone pushing up. And, you know, like you said, it's like we can't just rest on the history and being the OGs. Yeah. But we have to reinvent that. And I think that's for us at Aluminess, that's definitely the next chapter, you know? Yep. How are we going to be more relevant again? How are we going to be more authentic again? And how are we regaining some of that, the laurels that we had?
Yeah, it's not blowing everything up. It is, you rest on those laurels, the good parts, the customer service, that history, the warranty, the culture of your company, all those things. Yeah, you don't want to lose any of that. Yep. But that pushing the envelope and getting to the next level.
Exactly.
That's exactly what we want to do.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm so excited about Expo next week.
Me too.
And
we're going to have a great
seeing
time.
what new product is out there. Yeah. And perhaps Kenny can sneak in a keg.
Yeah, we'll see. Don't tell anybody.
No.
Thank you for tuning in to Questions and Vanswers. I really appreciated our guest, Evert from Aluminess. Please leave us a review, drop us a 5-star rating. And if you have any questions, like this one from Peyton asks, aluminum, like why aluminum? Why the push? Why is it so important? We mentioned the weight. What else? Why aluminum?
Well, it doesn't rust. And, you know, like being in San Diego down by the water, that's obviously one of the big reasons. And then going salt. Dave going salt, exactly. Going and having it welded up at the docks, that's probably the material that was there. It was the weight. Yeah. And Dave's point was always like, hey, a fighter jet can handle the stress and everything. It's built out of aluminum. We should be able to build a bumper like this. So there we go. Weight and no rust.
There you go, Peyton. That totally makes sense. So but tune in to our next podcast. It'll be dropping soon. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Go to our website, fieldvan.com. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Find us everywhere, and thanks for being here.